Aeschylus was born in ancient Greece during the 6th and 5th centuries before the Common Era. His plays are the oldest surviving, and some of the most influential and most commendable ever written. Although a discussion of his style and philosophical messages is saved for the conclusion of this series, on this video you may learn about one of the plays that are attributed to him, Aeschylus the Suppliant Maidens. Unfortunately, the other 3 plays in this tetralogy are lost. These were titled The Egyptians, the Danaids, and the Satyr-drama Amymone. The whole were part of what is now a little-known myth. Luckily, the play itself, its principal events and its digressions, explain the myth that is being employed or represented in the drama. As a result, the most useful introduction to this work is the fact that the play lost almost complete popularity until the 20th century. Yes, alas, it was forgotten and ignored for almost all of human history. Why? That is perhaps an open question. I think the fact that the play essentially condemns male sexual violence or supremacy might have made it unpopular, except for when it was created and the Romans who preserved it. Also, there is the fact that the principal male hero, the King of Argos, is an enlightened monarch who professes and exercises the importance and value of respecting and following popular opinion. That could not have boded well almost at any time in human history. The play takes place on a so-called sacred grove near ancient Argos. There are altars and statues of the gods and goddesses. The play begins with the chorus, comprised of the suppliant maidens, that is, young women in need of aid or protection, singing about the trials that have brought them to this land. They tell us that all 50 of them, yes 50, were to be forced to marry the sons of a certain Egyptian noble named Aegyptus. This was to take place in Egypt. The maidens mention that they actually descend from Argos, meaning that they are Greeks. They are all sisters, and their mother was none other than Io. You will remember Io as she features at the beginning of Herodotus' histories. I will explain what is relevant about her subsequently. For the time being, while singing of the men who are in all likelihood chasing them, the maidens say,
"By thunder and lightning, by rain winds assailed may they die, before they seize what law forbids, as cousins to mount on unwilling beds."
Likewise, soon after they call on the gods to show their
true loathing of rape.
Perhaps as should be expected, they call upon Athena herself,
The pure daughter of Zeus, who guards sacred walls, may she guard and protect me, virgin, rescuing virgins, may she come in all her power.
In the end, they go as far as threatening, at least by insinuation, that they will hang themselves before allowing their own defilement. On this latter point their father, Danaus, interjects and pleads prudence and optimism to them. He makes a point that, alas, perhaps, is an inescapable psychological and sociological reality of life.
Boldness never suits the weaker.
I am certain that an aphorism, perhaps many, may be crafted out of the idea. Danaus proceeds to make that curious metaphor regarding birds of prey. Remember, to the Greeks and the Romans the noblest bird was the vulture, as these do not kill other birds. They merely feed on those that have already died.
Bird consumes bird. How could that be pure? And how could a man, taking an unwilling bride from an unwilling father, still be pure?
Unfortunately, the metaphor is lost in modernity, otherwise it could be used for an aphorism. Then Pelasgus, the king of Argos, arrives with a retinue. The first thing he does, jocularly enough, is derogatorily reference the maidens as barbarians. He quickly mentions the mythic ancestry of Argos. I do believe the details are irrelevant. Then he asks the maidens to reveal, as he did, from where they hail. At first, he does not believe their reply. Once again, he references their barbarian appearance and even goes as far as saying,
"I should even have thought you were the man-hating carnivorous Amazons. Were you armed with bows?"
The maidens continue explaining their heritage, the myth. They mention that their mother, the aforementioned Io, was a priestess of Hera, the wife of Zeus, the king of the gods. So, the myth, as the maidens have been explaining it, is that Zeus falls for Io, a priestess in Argos. Hera, jealous as is natural, turns Io into a cow. Well, there are several details, but long story made short, eventually Zeus transforms her back to human and impregnates her. The eventual descendants of this divine union are two men named Danaus and the aforementioned Aegyptus. Danaus has 50 daughters, the maidens, and Aegyptus has 50 boys. Aegyptus, who holds power in Egypt, demands his brother's daughters as wives for his children. The women do not want to marry these boys by force, that is to be raped by them, and Danaus does not want to force his daughters to do what they do not want to do. Thus, they flee to Argos seeking succor. Greek myths are so humorous. Once it is all explained, and Pelasgus accepts the maiden's ancestry, the chorus leader pleads,
"Don't give us back when Aegyptus' sons demand it."
A hard request, to take on a new war.
But justice gives protection to her allies.
Yes, Pelasgus' aid would mean war for Argos against Egypt, or at least the sons of Aegyptus. The conflict must have taken place in one of the two lost plays of the tetralogy. It is on the gravity of this question that Pelasgus demonstrates his commendable rule. He says,
"The choice is not easy, choose me not as judge. I said before that never would I act alone, apart from the people, though I am ruler. So never may people say, if evil comes, by honoring immigrants you destroyed the city."
I wonder, a certain failed presidential candidate could have made a reference to this play against a certain former president that claimed to champion reducing immigration. It is funny as that former president alleged that immigration was bad because some immigrants are bound to be rapists. Ergo, would not the immigrants themselves, on occasion, be fleeing rape? Of course, this is all irrelevant given the current intellectual poverty or inequity in Western civilization. The maidens warn that if he, or the city, refuses, then they will hang themselves by the altars and statues of the gods. Few could imagine anything more horrid. As the king tells Danaus, the maiden's father, to make the case before the people, Pelasgus describes the nature of the conundrum. First, the king says,
"Wouldn't that be bitter waste, men to bloody the earth for women's sake?"
Akin to the Iliad if you ask me. Alas, like perhaps too much conflict, in one way or another. But then he says,
"Perhaps they may feel pity hating the arrogance of that masculine crowd, and the people may feel more friendly toward you. Everyone is kind to those weaker than themselves."
Both these men leave, the maidens sing, and when Danaus returns he informs them that the people have voted in their favor, that they will be protected, and that if anyone, foreigner or citizen, attempts to take them by force, they will be stopped and punished. It then happens that a ship is seen approaching the shoreline. A ship that is surely seeking them. Here I notice something curious. All the while the maidens have defended womanhood so vigorously, perhaps even virulently. The editor's comments in the introduction claim that the play could, and perhaps was, interpreted for much of history as depicting man-hating women. That the play insults men. I do not see this. Or at least I am not as sensible to such a thing as others might be or have been. The thing is, here there is a strophe by the women that could not at all be qualified as female empowerment or man-hating. It does not seem to fit the others.
"Leave us not behind, alone, Father, I pray. Women are nothing alone. No ours is in them, deadly purposed and crafty minds with impure hearts. Just as ravens, they heed no altar."
I reckon much could be imagined about it. Let me merely say that it is peculiar. A new chorus appears, a chorus of Egyptian sailors and a herald, all seeking the maidens. Merely let me quote,
"Unless someone agrees and goes on board, that finery you are wearing will be ripped without mercy."
"Help, leaders of the city, I am being overpowered."
"You there, what are you doing? By what arrogance dare you insult this land of Pelasgian men? Do you think you have come to a woman's land? You are barbarians, and you trifle insolently with Greeks. You've made a mistake, quite lost your mind."
In the end, the sailors and the herald leave threatening to return with war. A chorus of Argive citizens arrives, which joins the chorus of the maidens, and they all sing a song. Allow me to merely mention one single conclusion regarding the popularity of the play. I certainly liked it. Yet, it seems to me entirely possible that in contemporary times, in the 21st century thus far, the play may find an opposite from its previous criticisms or obstacles to popularity. It appears to me that, to a certain degree, a transvaluation of women's and men's sexually pleasing aesthetics and expectations has occurred. Unfortunately, an inquiry on the subject is best saved for another place. Try to remember the idea, though it is a bit nebulous and perhaps controversial. On this channel, you may watch videos outlining all of Aeschylus' plays. That includes the plays of eternal renown such as Prometheus Bound, or the trilogy on Agamemnon, Clytemnestra, and Orestes. Now, to pique your curiosity, to motivate you to watch the last video of the series, I gift you a teaser sample of one of the many aphorisms I crafted as I read this author.
The strong should be prudent and the weak should be bold.
If you enjoy or gain from my aphorisms, know that I have thousands. I will be writing books with short thematic essays composed out of aphorisms. These essays are profound and intriguing yet easy to read. For very cheap copies, look up Protagoras Pause in the Amazon website. I repeat, Protagoras Pause, that's my name.